But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host and Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise, and Jesus fucking Christ, he has actually gone and done it. And I don't know if you've seen the absolutely fucking ridiculous buck wild statement that he put out on his fake ass social network Truth Social, because that's where this stuff gets fucking announced. But I'm going to read it to you so we can all suffer from the experience. And once I find it, scrolling down because I was scrolling up to see what else was going on. That's not the right place. Here we go. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs, in all caps, was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors, last 2 words capitalized for no apparent reason. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, first of all, you're gonna do something. You announced that you're doing something that let's just for drill. I know international law doesn't matter in the rules-based order. The whole point of the rules-based order is that international law doesn't matter. It's whoever rules thinks the order is based. That's what that's about. But if we were to be a little bit nitpicky about this, it's a war crime to do targeted attacks on nuclear sites because of the radiation. It's also the crime of aggression and various other things. So obviously now is the time for peace. Nobody is possibly going to have any adverse reaction to what just happened. And then thank you for your attention to this matter. What the fuck is that? What? I got nothing. What the fuck is that? This is what the fuck kind of announcement is this in general? From Iran, it took a couple of hours, but they did confirm that the attack happened. According to The Guardian, the bombs that the U.S. dropped, the GBU-57s, which, just for drill, are made in St. Charles, Missouri, a leafy suburb of St. Louis, directly adjacent to a nice little park with a cricket pitch. Speaking of putting, civilians right next to major military objectives. But they can't actually penetrate deep enough to actually hit these sites. But in any case, according to Iran's state media, all enriched uranium had been removed, from all of the nuclear facilities in advance, and which makes sense because this is not a large amount that you can. I mean, it's a large amount in terms of enriched uranium, but you can kind of carry it fairly easily. It's quite portable. We're talking about, in terms of like mass, relatively small amounts, and so they say that they moved in advance, which makes sense. I mean, considering how disastrous it would be if it was there when something like this happened, and how much they need that both for energy and for just deterrence at this point if they should decide that they are going to reverse their policy, which they've kind of hinted they might be doing. There's been discussion of it. But Jesus fucking Christ. Hello, Adam. Now is the time for peace, apparently. That's how that works. You commit an act of criminal aggression that, if it went off exactly the way you intended, would make large swaths of an entire country uninhabitable for a very long time because of the radiation. And then you say, now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You know, like you just were dictating a memo about not bogarting the Coke in the office fridge in the break room. Let's see. Apparently Netanyahu has some bullshit to say. Let's see what he says. If I can... Oh, that's right. I've got Telegram muted for the moment, so that the notifications don't bother us. Well, I don't know about World War III. I mean, they did not cross Pakistan's red line, but what Iran has said that they would be likely to do in this situation all hell certainly would be breaking loose in the region. It's not clear. I haven't seen any reports from them or anyone in the region that it's already happened, but they had said, you know, that they would be closing the Straits of Hormuz and targeting U.S. assets like all the Gulf dictatorships and all their oil if something like this happened. Because now is the time for peace. Because that's how that works. When you carry out a fucking cowardly attack on people, on civilian nuclear facilities that could potentially cause an environmental catastrophe, then you say now is the time for peace, because that's the time for peace. But okay, let's see what this piece of shit has to say. Give it away. From Philly, Netanyahu, wanted for crimes against humanity in the ICC, head of a regime on trial for genocide at the ICJ. He's got all the ICs covered.
With the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change.
Yeah, oh god, there's nothing more righteous than the might of the United States. I mean, especially after the past couple of years.
Change history.
Well, I mean, I think, yes, I'm sure it's changed history in a sense. Not... I mean, it remains to be seen in what way, but I think it's probably not going to be great.
Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things.
Well, yes, they've used up their air defenses and are now getting all of their military infrastructure wrecked.
But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It is
I mean, no, lots of people have done what the U.S. did there. They flew into a country, evaded some air defenses, dropped bombs, and got the fuck out. That is not, I mean, that's literally all that was.
Done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime.
That would be the U.S.?
The world's most dangerous weapons.
The world's most dangerous regime has thousands of them. You're talking about... I mean, Iran isn't even the region's most dangerous regime, motherfucker. That's you guys.
His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond.
Yeah, he seriously believes that this is going to result in a regime change and not close to where he lives.
To a future of prosperity and peace.
How does lightning not hit this guy?
President Trump and I often say, peace through strength.
Which sounds like Nazi shit, actually. Which fits. That's very fitting for both of you.
First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength.
God, this is like... Jesus Christ. Listen to this fucking guy. And now the United States acted with a lot of strength. What the fuck? He sounds like he's narrating, he's explaining the last episode of fucking He-Man he watched. Cheltenham Township.
President Trump, I think...
if I were from Philly, I would also be looking for a way to disown this guy.
You, the people of Israel, thank you. The forces of civilization, thank you. God bless America.
Yeah, no.
God bless Israel.
Oh, also no, actually. That's a no on both, actually.
And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
I mean, the faith may be unbreakable, but I'm thinking the alliance probably at this point is looking a little bit breakable. Yeah, that is entirely possible, River Rune does point out. Okay, and now the shit puppy from Manhattan, just a little bit north, both of these assholes are from the eastern seaboard.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat.
What the fuck's up with this dude's eyes? It looks like they're pasted on him.
Posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
The United States?
Tonight I can report...
Okay, and you can't see this because my computer won't let me share this with you as far as I can tell. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Marco Rubio looks a little bit freaked out. Now you can see what I mean about this fucker's eyes. Jesus.
Report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
Despite the fact that they are literally not capable of achieving the goal. Oh, and Hexeth is, he almost managed to button that collar. They must have, taken him down to 6 cases of beer a day.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
There's no evidence of that, it's worth noting. In fact, there's no way... The thing about these facilities is they were built with these bombs in mind. They're not just under, a couple of 100 meters of reinforced concrete. Before that even happens, the first thing is they're under a fucking mountain. A couple of 100 meters of just solid granite. So, yeah, they have not been obliterated. I mean, Iran described it as a partial hit on one facility. Now, Iran might be burying the lead a bit, but that sounds plausible that this would not actually cause the level of destruction he's claiming.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East? I mean, yeah, you are running the bully of the Middle East.
Must now make peace.
Yeah, that's not how that works, my dude. You don't say that and then other people go and make peace. Iran has been appeasing the United States for decades now. All that JCPOA bullshit was a pure appeasement. They had no obligation to enter into that. The U.S. had no right to demand that of them. They were enriching, as the U.S. intelligence community has said for decades, they were enriching uranium for peaceful purposes, as they're allowed to do under the NPT, under which they've also been inspected for years and years and years. Fun fact, the U.S. does not allow inspections of their nuclear arsenal, as the only country that's ever actually used them against other people. So that's a thing that's worth noticing. And yeah, what they've seen is, at this point, there's absolutely no point in appeasing the United States because it will eventually bite you in the ass. And it seems like they had already kind of moved away from appeasement to begin with after Israel's aggression. So, I mean, Israel doesn't think now is the time for peace. They have issued new orders. They're canceling, like, all non-essential activities, all leisure activities, all educational activities, anything that involves people being outside of their homes and away from shelters. Israel does not think it is the time for peace. They think it is probably the time for them to get their asses kicked.
If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
A lot easier? I mean, they haven't done anything that would make it easier.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel.
I mean, they've been saying it for actually, I know this, it's really handy because the revolution was in 1979, and that's when I was born. So it's 46 years, Don. 46 years. And you think they're going to be saying that any quieter now? Like, what's happened in the past 2 years, Donnie, is that Iran is not really quite as alone at this point in saying those things. Basically, the entire world's saying those things. Basically, outside of the little bubble of the US, Europe, and European colonial regimes like Australia, everybody is saying both of those things.
They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their...
They're blowing off their arms. Yeah, J.D. Vance is trying to understand if this is some sort of kink that he hasn't heard of when he's fucking his furniture.
Legs with roadside bombs.
He's talking about how terrible it is that Iran has supported countries in defending themselves from U.S. occupation. Yeah, that's absolutely terrible. That's a horrible thing to do, Don. Yeah, maybe get fucked.
That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago.
Fun fact, speaking of the new Syria, which is now ruled by an ISIS alumnus, Israel is being allowed to use it as a staging ground for airstrikes on Iran. They're just openly flying their bomber planes over Syrian airspace, as if it was their own. I mean, they're already occupying a fifth of the country.
That I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister...
I mean, let's just remember, he said the same shit about Yemen. Yemen, it's worth noting, said if he did what he just did, then their ceasefire that he begged them for is over. So that's U.S. Navy will be getting kicked out of the Red Sea again, assuming that they've gone back to it at all. I mean, actually, I think that's right. They did actually after the ceasefire, and Trump boasted about the fact that they were not being bothered in the Red Sea because they had stopped attacking Yemen. Like, this was some sort of great achievement of his.
Mr. Bibi Netanyahu, we worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before.
I mean, and he also, his entire intelligence community must be really fucked off right now, because he just publicly dismissed them. Which is interesting, because one of the moments where he sort of said a quiet part out loud back in 2016 is when he said the invasion of Iraq was based on a lie, which is true. But the intelligence community, they avoided getting a national intelligence estimate. There were statements from the intelligence community saying they did not believe that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. and that if Iraq did have them, they would be using them for the purpose of defending against an invasion and stuff like that, but they avoided that so that they had some deniability. He does not have that deniability. The Director of National Intelligence has, and Tulsi Gabbard can fuck off in all sorts of levels, but she's not saying anything new. She's saying what the intelligence community has said since 2007, that there is no nuclear weapons program there.
And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done.
They've especially done a really good job in opening Israeli military facilities to missile strikes.
And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades.
Like, what is he thinking of there?
Hopefully we will no longer need their services in this capacity.
Wait, and so now he's firing them? That sounds like he's firing them.
I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the...
That can't possibly be his actual name.
...brilliant military minds involved in this attack.
The brilliant military minds. Like, any brilliant military mind was telling him this was a bad idea. Because it obviously is, unless the idea is for all hell to break loose, which it's likely to do.
All of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was...
Yeah, including the 3 that you said you were hitting. Those are left.
The most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision.
He's sounding less and less sure of himself as this goes on.
Speed and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what
The Apprentice Colonial Edition.
we did tonight.
Well, but the thing is, you actually didn't do it. I mean, yes, you committed aggression and a subordinate war crime. That's true, but the U.S. does that all the fucking time. Lots of people do that shit. I mean, usually they get in trouble for it, but only the U.S. and U.S. proxies do not.
Not even close. There's never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
Yeah, nobody's ever been able to drop bombs.
Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
He has to remind himself what this guy's name is and probably feels a little bit bad about it.
We'll have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon.
Look for Pete to have red eyes.
And I want to just thank everybody, and
Jesus.
in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East.
God bless the Middle East.
God bless Israel. And
he's just all heart. Jesus Christ, this fucking guy.
America, thank you very much. Thank you.
Jesus. Gee fuckins us. Okay, that's enough of that bullshit. But yeah, that's what was going on just before we went on, and I thought I would just bring it up. I had this whole thing I was gonna do about fucking Michael Rappaport last night, and how he avoids the swearing to avoid monetization, but actually the monetization on YouTube really sucks anyway, so he shouldn't bother. He should just get a sponsor and just do a whole thing about when I get tired of the slurring the I go and reach for a soda stream or some shit. It was better, but then this happened, and it's like I can't not say something about that. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Where shall we go? Where shall we go? Oh, wait. H3 break down the Israel and Palestinian situation that I'm pointing here is actually from 6 years ago. Let's see. What else have we got? Well, we've got Bonerlocks debates a bad empanada defender. We've got Asman Goldfish saying the Iranian crown prince is coming back. He just discovered Savakis. He didn't know about Savak. He didn't know that the Iranian exile fascist community is actually, if anything, more hardcore than the Cuban exile fascist community. Especially Ted Cruz, because, you know, Fulgencio Batista murdered his father. Like, in that whole bed-shitting interview, like, he managed to also destroy his own anti-communist origin story with that one. That his dad was killed by the guy that Castro overthrew. We've also got Tim Cass, Tim Pool, Laura Loomer goes to war against Tucker Carlson, claims he's controlled by Muslims. Like, okay, where the hell is Pim Tool going to be on this, is what I don't quite get. But first, let me see, make sure my ad block is where it should be. Good. Okay, so...
From Mediaites, Trump ally Laura Loomer escalates MAGA civil war with wild claim Tucker is controlled by Muslims.
Of course she does. Of course she does.
So it's getting spicy, and you've got this.
I mean, I have to say, the fact that there is a civil war amongst like Trump's fash suckhole brigade, I think is actually sort of a good thing. If it is eroding in any way his inner circle and making life more difficult in that sense, that's not for him. That's not bad. But yeah, okay. The Washington Examiner's Robert Schmad reported on Qatar's big dollar efforts in May, writing, perhaps Qatar's biggest victory in its post-election right-wing media campaign thus far was securing an interview between Tucker Carlson and Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani in March. Why don't we just call him the second? Because Al Thani just means the second.
The Washington Examiner's Robert Schmad reported on Qatar's big dollar efforts in May, writing perhaps Qatar's biggest victory in the post-election right-wing media campaign thus far was securing an interview between Tucker Carlson and Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani in March.
Loomer took that report a step further, claiming that Carlson's interview with Al Thani was a paid propaganda piece in which over $200,000 was paid by the Embassy of the State of Qatar for Tucker to interview a Qatari official. All while knowing Hamas is an Iranian proxy and funded by Qatar. Wow, yes. The white nationalists are mad at each other.
The interview, which is racked up...
and Laura Loomer knows about paid propaganda pieces because that's literally all she does.
Nearly 6 million views across X and YouTube, was friendly, with Carlson praising the country. Schmad added, Qatar paid top dollar to ensure this interview took place. Foreign Agent Registration Act records show that Lumen 8 Advisors LLC, a legal consulting company for which very little public information is available, helped facilitate between Carlson and the Qatari dignitary. The Embassy of the State of Qatar pays Lumen 8 Advisors $180,000 per month to provide media and communication coaching and consulting services. Loomer took that report a step further, claiming Carlson's interview...
Took it a step further is such an interesting way of putting it, because this does not cite any sources. Took it a step further, it sounds like she did some research or something, when actually she just opened her mouth and shit came out.
With PM Al Thani was a paid propaganda piece in which over $200,000 was paid by the Embassy of the State of Qatar for Tucker to the interview. A Qatari official, all while knowing Hamas is an Iranian proxy and funded by Qatar.
I mean, which both of those things aren't true.
Loomer basically
is full of shit. She's making stuff up. And she always looks like she's about to, like, break down crying in all the photos, even from sympathetic media outlets.
Laid out that Tucker was getting this money. She said Tucker's in an interview with Steve Bannon.
She laid it out, did she? Like, where did she lay it out? Because it sounds like she just said shit. I mean, it's entirely possible he is. It does sound like a kind of puff piece thing, especially if the Prime Minister's consultants were, like, lobbying heavily to get him to do it. But, I mean, I also don't believe a word that she says. Like, she just makes shit up and goes off to, like, murder refugees in the Med.
Saying he was never paid, and she said he was a liar.
Oh, no, is that Lauren Southern? I confused the two horrible white nationalist ghouls.
And then showed this. The insinuation, of course, is that Tucker was given $200,000. But
I mean, the assertion was that. It wasn't an insinuation, she just said it.
This has been the narrative that's emerging largely, not just from Laura Loomer, but from many that are pro-Israel and critical of those who are Israel critical, is that Qatar has been funding them. Now, I don't think Tucker Carlson got...
It's interesting that he is not a careful person. Pim Tool will run off at the mouth at the slightest provocation. But did you listen to the way he said that?
Israel critical.
Yeah.
But from many that are pro-Israel and critical of those who are Israel critical.
Well, yeah, I mean, that sounds like maximum hedging. I don't think I've ever heard him hedging. Except times when he has, like, specifically avoided saying things. Back when he was pretending to be a free speech warrior, he would avoid saying all sorts of things that might get the platform taken down while claiming to be, like, Mr., like, brave free speech motherfucker.
Is that Qatar has been funding them. Now, I don't think Tucker Carlson got paid. I think when you look at this, you can see there's a foreign lobbying group probably reached out to Tucker and said, how can we make this happen?
I mean, that's, like, literally what it said. That's, like, literally what the article said. If the article... Assuming anything in the article is true at all, which, I mean, it sounds like probably at least some of it is, then that's, like, literally what it said. You didn't, like, that isn't your analysis, motherfucker. That's your reading comprehension.
But Laura did make a good point.
No, she didn't. She made shit up.
Who's paying all the travel and production costs? Is there any of that going on?
I mean, that's not what she said, though. She made a specific assertion. And, it would not surprise me given the way, I mean, assuming any of this is true. Like, none of these sources, it's like, all of these sources require maximum skepticism. Literally everybody involved in this is somebody you can't really believe very far. But it sounds, if there was this consultancy firm in the mix, I mean, Tucker Carlson is, I mean, a scumbag. He has no journalistic integrity. I mean... Which sounds odd to say on a certain level because he just actually had the only seriously adversarial video between a media figure and a U.S. regime, interview between a media figure and a U.S. regime figure that we've seen in a very long time, but because the standard is so low. The entire thing is based on people sucking up to regime figures in order to get access, and so they trade favorable coverage for access for exclusive interviews. But he's full of shit on a good day. Although in this particular time, he is actually going against the, like, dominant narrative on something the dominant narrative cares about. I mean, that is true. It's like he's a shitty person who, for shitty reasons, has come to a reasonable conclusion, namely... A good conclusion, namely, maybe don't fucking attack Iran, you fucking pricks.
Because what is the point of hiring a far lobbying firm to facilitate an interview? You wouldn't...
Well, because you want to have an interview.
Need to do it. You simply just... You're a government. You reach out to the agency or the network and you say, we'd like to do an interview, sit down with Tucker Carlson. So what did Luminate actually do in exchange for this money? Interesting question. I will also... And come on, look, I get people like tweeting at me, like Elijah Schaefer. He tweeted at me.
A white nationalist who shows up on the Timcast quite a bit.
Because Theo Von went to Qatar and then comes back and then says he thinks Israel's committing a genocide.
I mean, Why did he have to go to Qatar to find that out? You can just fucking look at the live stream.
I point that out, and then get accused of claiming he's getting paid by Qatar to do so. Well, no, but I mean, what was his trip? What access was he given?
I mean, I don't know who this person is, but like the fact that he would have to go all the way to Qatar in order to like notice that Israel is openly saying they're trying to exterminate the Palestinian people, like they don't make a secret of it. I mean, maybe there is something dodgy. I mean, to me, what's dodgy is that he wasn't saying that before, actually.
It's right there. I don't know if anything's going on with...
It's right there. What do you mean, Qatar? I mean, I guess...
Qatar funding or paying anybody or anything like that, but this is the current divide right now with the threat of war. You have this narrative now going more mainstream, particularly with Laura Loomer, that...
I mean, as mainstream as she is, which is depressing because she's way more mainstream than she should be, which is not at all.
Paying a bunch of conservatives to be anti-Israel.
I mean, which is also nonsense, because the thing is, there have always been like, right-wingers who oppose the U.S. Support for Israel. They, however, do not particularly give a shit about the Palestinians. You can usually tell these people because they will talk about the USS Liberty like it is comparable to the Nakba. They basically are paleocons who think the US is doing imperialism wrong, and a lot of them don't like Jews. And that's basically it. They don't, I mean, Palestinians they don't give a shit about. And, I mean, Tucker Carlson fits that mold, and that's not new. He's never liked Jews. He is absolutely... I mean, he is full of shit. He is a fascist piece of shit. But I do think he does pay attention to things. I mean, I think he does calculate, because saying that... I mean, either that or he doesn't, and he just decided to, like, fucking destroy his career, which is also a possibility. But, yeah... I mean, I think he is somewhat calculated. And I think it's interesting that Cruz went on there. And it makes me wonder, like, that's the interview I'm wondering how that happened. Did Cruz not realize that this would not... that he wasn't just going to get his fucking Zodiac killer looking ass sucked off?
Does she have evidence of any of this stuff? Or is she just like...
No, she doesn't. Nobody has evidence of anything. It's Washington Examiner, it's Tim Pool, it's fucking Laura Loomer. I mean, it's Tucker Carlson. Everybody's full of shit.
Throwing accusations.
I think everybody's just throwing accusations. But to be...
Well, I mean, to be fair, that is what the Timcast is for. That's all we do. We throw accusations. If defamation laws were enforced, we would be broke. In fact, Tim Pool has... had to settle a defamation matter. I don't remember what it was for. But apparently, I mean, and it was a confidential settlement, which is bullshit. I fucking hate that. But, I mean, he ended up paying money, it seems.
Fair. Paid? Well, a lot of these writers are using...
I mean, Tim Pool gets paid here. There's a reason that he always has the exact same talking points Chris Rufo comes up with.
Clever language. They'll say, Cutter paid $200,000 for an interview with Tucker Carlson, not to Tucker Carlson for an interview. So,
which actually is an entirely, like, I didn't know the phase of the moon, but that is actually an important distinction, and that is the sort of thing that you will see. He is not wrong there. I hate to say it because he sucks, and he's wrong about everything else usually.
Look, we do stage shows, and we have a media company that comes in and sets up all the cameras and does all the work, and we pay for that. So if someone said Tim Pool paid, paid X amount of dollars for an interview with insert celebrity, it's like, no, that was a production company. But
well, what I want to know is who. I mean, it's funny that he's talking about who pays who, because it turned out that he was getting actually paid at least indirectly by Russian sources that he denied existed. And yeah, I mean, the whole thing, you look at this entire media ecosystem, and it's a bunch of people who will come up with whatever the talking point is that their source of income wants. He will pretend to be outraged over one thing or another. And one of the interesting things about this moment is that so much of the right-wing media ecosystem is divided over this, that it's actually, people like this don't quite know what the fuck they're, where to go with it.
That's how you can use weasel words to make it seem like that. However,
sort of like when Tim Pool will call people groomers, and then when Lance from the Surfs pointed out that means somebody who manipulates children into sexual relationships, he immediately ducked for cover. It's like, no, we don't mean it that way. Our lawyers would be very annoyed with us.
but it's not proof. I mean, Johan did go to Qatar, and he's got that video of him wearing the local garb or whatever, and then
The local garb, what the fuck?
and he comes back and says I think Israel's committing genocide. It was a really wishy-washy statement. It was like non-committal, and now
I mean, as non-committal as that can be.
he's very much in the anti-intervention camp. I'm not saying he's being paid, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to a country and then being convinced of something.
I don't understand why you have to go to Qatar to be convinced of that, though. You don't have to, all the information, you can see it, you can watch it in real time. Why would anyone have to go to Qatar for that? I find that, that is actually sketchy in the sense that somebody would after all this fucking shit, all this mass murder, and it is getting worse right now. On the one hand, Israel's pulling ground forces away because they need them to deal with the Iran situation that they've started. But on the other hand, they are continuing to use these so-called aid distribution centers, which are about as humanitarian as the Red Cross tent at Treblinka. They just send these people in there and then they just mass shoot them. At a certain point, you have to say this is not an aid distribution center where people get shot so much as a place for people to get shot, where some people might be lucky enough to run away with a couple of fucking scraps of food. But all that stuff is getting worse. We really cannot sleep on that. It's not clear yet, it's been very early, to what extent this has harmed Israel's capability of doing this genocide. And of course we have to kind of wait and see what's going to happen next. it doesn't look like Iran is in the mood to just thank him for his Trump for his kind words at this point.
I'm just saying, that's 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
What is that? You travel someplace and you say there is genocide. Again, the sketchy thing about this, and let's remember, Tim Pool is an interesting example of all this, because his big thing, he has brought a lot of the most anti-Semitic fuckers in this ecosystem onto his show, including when Ye was doing his Nazi thing. He brought Ye and Nick Fuentes on there to say Nazi shit. And then Moonlord talked about how it was probably good for Jews to hear all that, because it would help Jews come to Jesus or something. And then, flash forward to the encampments, the fucking, the anti-genocide protests on campus, and suddenly Tim Pool claims he cares about Jews being made uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, it's weird, how she's paying this, the conclusion, you can't come to Tucker's conclusion unless you're being paid by a foreign government, the conclusion that we shouldn't go to war with Iran.
And it doesn't really make any sense in the case of Carlson. This does not actually surprise me the slightest bit in the case of Carlson, that he would take that line.
Only someone crazy could come up with that, so they must have paid him. It's kind of a crazy implication.
Sort of. That's kind of standard stuff when it
There are people where you would have to pay them. But I do not think, this is not this is not an atypical position for Carlson, and I just need to take a quick bio break. I will be right back. Okay, and I'm back. Oh, no, I didn't need the intro again. Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Comes to this topic, like if you disagree with someone, there's a reason, and it's almost always you're somehow being paid by.
Well, I mean, in this ecosystem, in this media ecosystem in particular, that is certainly not. I mean, the reason that Laura Loomer just kind of goes to that is because she's one of various people who are paid to spread fascist propaganda. And she is one of many of these assholes who get paid, and they spread the exact same talking points and pretend to be outraged over the exact same things, so naturally they assume that every take works that way.
Someone involved, whether it be Qatar or whether it be the Israelis, if you, like, one of the things that people default to when you say, well, no, I don't agree because of this, if you see the things that I see and you don't come to the conclusion that I come to, then you must be doing it because you're paid.
I mean, we are talking about a media ecosystem with negative integrity. So yeah, I mean, that is kind of a reasonable default. I mean, fuck Laura Loomer, but she knows the environment she's in, and she takes money to say bullshit. Why would anyone?
So that happens on both, like, that happens all the time with both Qatar and with Israel.
The foreign
Well, I mean, and Israel does certainly pay significant amounts of money for people to do propaganda. They have things like Hasbara fellowships.
Are interesting. I mean, in the election season...
Okay, what's this guy cosplaying Brock Turner?
Right, it came up that Tim Walz had been to China 30 times or something like that. And so I do think whenever there's these sorts of foreign trips, I think there should be questions asked. I
mean, people travel. Just because no country wants your ass except for the one that had the misfortune of you being born there doesn't mean that other people don't travel.
Of public figures in general, just who are they meeting with, or what sorts of funding, or what sorts of funds are being exchanged. But yeah, the Qatar thing here, it doesn't seem like there's a ton that's substantiated, at least at this point.
Well, I mean, that does not stop you usually going off.
I do think it's interesting that there's a lot of personalities that have, in the past couple of years, maybe even the past year or so, gone very heavy anti-Israel very quickly.
I wonder if there's a reason that people are going very heavy anti-Israel very quickly at this particular moment in history, Tim. I mean, I don't know which figures he's talking about, but I mean, lots of people, most of whom are not only not getting paid, but are risking their jobs, have ended up having a much lower opinion of Israel than whatever opinion they had to start out with, which in most cases may not have been very high to begin with, because it's a shitty white supremacist colonial regime.
I mean, it does feel like it's a bit of it's like the edgy...
It's almost like, I mean, there was another weird one like that. Like, suddenly, all of a sudden, between, like, 1942 and 1945, a whole lot of people went really heavily anti-Germany. They must have been getting paid.
It's like a containment breach, because, like, this next generation of political pundits are just completely allergic to any foreign intervention in the Middle East, rightfully so, because it's been such a disaster. And, yeah, I'm just going to ask questions.
What the fuck is he holding there? That looks like a...
of what were the incentives.
Is he taking that to the sperm bank
for us to go into the Middle East? But at the same time, when they just completely fixate on Israel...
Yeah. I mean, why? I mean, what is Israel doing right now that anyone would be paying any kind of significant attention to them? I mean, Israel never gets up to anything. They're always so quiet. That's what everybody knows about Israel. They're so quiet. You hardly know that they're there. Like, okay, they murder a few 100,000 people in a very short time and say they're gonna murder the rest of them. But other than that, I mean, they never bother anybody.
You do start to ask questions like, well, it's weird that they did visit countries that are extremely adversarial to Israel.
Which is like most countries.
And they walk away with this, like, new agenda. That being said, on the flip side, if you watch the interview with Ted Cruz, I mean, Tucker wasn't picking on Israel. He was just saying, let's
He was picking on Tucker. And I have to say, I mean, I actually rather enjoyed that. Despite myself, despite the fact that everybody in there is a piece in that interview sucked. Really, like, massively. Watching Ted Cruz be asked the most basic fucking questions, and he's like, "What, you mean, you expect me to know something about a country? All I'm just saying is I want to destroy the country. There's not going to be anything for me to know about it after that because I'm going to destroy it. So I don't have to know anything about it. Stop asking your fucking trick questions like, how many people live in Iran?"
Go to war with Iran.
He was picking on Ted Cruz.
Yeah, it was like literally a struggle session.
And like Ted Cruz is...
No, it wasn't.
Like, he's generally very good in interviews.
No, he isn't. He's just never... Nobody ever fucking challenges him. He does not go on interviews where people challenge him. Because that's not what the U.S. media ecosystem, and these guys are no different in that, I should note, do. I mean, because everybody is trading favorable coverage for access.
Even combative interviews. So it was like... You know that it was totally like just
That's only if he's in a combative interview with someone from the left, but when he's
which has never happened,
getting attacked from the right of him, he can't respond.
No, he felt like he did.
Well, he wasn't even being attacked. He was asked basic questions. Like, I mean, everybody's talking about bombing Iran. This would be a good time for just to know basic things about the place, since everybody's talking about it. And, like, he was asked basic fucking knowledge questions. These would be rejected by any pub quiz as being too obvious. And he couldn't handle that. They're, like, acting like he was ambushed.
I got a question for you guys, because there was one exchange that I thought was really weird, and that was the issue of the Bible says we blessed are those who bless Israel and cursed are those who curse Israel.
Oh, which obviously what the Bible meant, like over 3,000 years ago or whenever, I don't remember which book that would have been from. What they obviously meant, they were referring to a state that was founded in 1948. Like, a time traveler went back to them and said, "You gotta bless Israel." And everyone's like, "What the fuck's Israel? We haven't gotten Israel here. Are you talking about, like, Judea? Like, Canaan? What?" No, it'll be important in a few years.
And Tucker's point was, the Bible doesn't literally mean the current political state of Israel, does it? And Ted Cruz said yes. Is that the case? I'm not a Christian, so I don't know.
I mean, no, it doesn't, obviously, unless you're just, I mean, the Christian Zionist headcanon is wild. Yeah, I mean, the trap of talking about Iran, which I imagine he knew he was going on to talk about.
I'm a Christian, and you could go into all of theology, but the divide is dispensationalism versus covenant theology. And a lot of evangelicals subscribe to dispensationalism, which is every promise that God made to Israel is literal. He is talking about the current state of Israel.
Is literal, and also literal as translated a few years ago by English speakers who are all Christians and don't know shit about the original language.
And people that subscribe to covenant theology say, well, when Paul addresses the church and calls them Israel in the New Testament in 1 Corinthians, he's saying that the church has basically absorbed all of the promises made to Israel. So it's a big divide in the church, but what's driving the Christian Zionism movement is that dispensation.
I mean, I don't know why you need the fucking the air quotes. I mean, that's just what they are, and I mean, they founded Zionism.
Interpretation of the Old Testament covenants.
This is still a different argument.
I mean, it's also just nonsense. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, why the fuck... They would not be talking about the fucking modern state of Israel a couple of thousand years ago, because it didn't exist.
Well, I mean, yeah, so what Ted Cruz is saying, like...
I mean, admittedly, they talk about a lot of things in Bible that don't exist and didn't exist. But I don't think they meant that one. Usually when they talk about shit that doesn't exist, it's like a virgin birth or something.
Oh, well, it literally says that. It's because he has a dispensational theology. He's saying, no, it says right there, it's Israel. And then someone describes the covenant theology, says, no, Christians replace Israel. We are not Israel. Those promises apply to the church.
Is that what you think Tucker is saying when he brings that up?
Yeah, Tucker subscribes to covenant theology. I think he's an Episcopalian. And he actually did a whole podcast.
I mean, also, more importantly, he's a paleocon.
With a theologian about covenant theology and dispensationalism. It's a big divide in the church. Typically, it divides Reformed Protestants to evangelical Protestants.
It's mainly because Protestants just look at the Bible and decide what they want it to mean.
All right.
Well, like nobody else does that. I mean, yes, they do. I mean, they absolutely do. But I mean, that's kind of what everybody does looking at Bible, and they look at and they see certain bits and they say, "Oh yeah, this probably doesn't. This one's irrelevant," and "Oh, this one's really, really important." And they get different versions.
Right, relax. We don't need a debate. We'll save that for culture war. But there's a lot of Catholics that have dispensational theology.
That's true too.
Yeah. So it's a divide. It's a theological divide that crosses sects, so to speak. But
know that.
Yeah, dispensationalism. It's very common in the megachurch. There's like your Joel Osteen types.
So dispensationalism is for the really sort of hardcore grifting, the cash stash in the public toilet kind of thing. I know there's flooding and hurricanes outside, but we've got no space in here. Oh, wait. It turns out we do, but there's flood damage. Oh, there isn't because we're on the top of a hill. But we're still not going to let you in because we got the cash stash in the public toilet, and we don't want you to find that.
It's like there's a verse where it says like, "Oh, God is gonna, you can build up treasures in heaven." So they're like, "Treasures? That must mean money. How do I get richer? Maybe I should go to Joel Osteen's church." And it's like, meanwhile, Jesus is like, "By the way, if you follow me, you're gonna get poor."
I mean, that's of course the thing. I mean, when you've got a fucking multi-millionaire pastor who with cash stashes in the public toilets, going to that guy's church is going to make you rich. Like, if you know where the cash stashes are and can get away fast enough.
This works, but they kind of, stiff-arm that. It's a big problem.
Yeah, what's it called? When they say if you do this, you'll get money.
Prosperity gospel.
That's it, prosperity gospel.
And the where this means pay money. Okay, we have officially left the actual subject we were talking about. We're going to move over, and Boner Locks debates a bad empanada defender.
There seems to be no specific...
Oh, so I'll ask you the question again because you're dodging it.
I mean, let's remember, Boner Locks, one of the things we know about him, I did not know this about him the last time that I was, that I saw him on this stream. But he had a propaganda junket with no less than ghoulish Elon Levy, Ben Netanyahu's personal fucking spokesperson.
Agree that Hamas was firing rockets that day as well, like they posted on their Telegram.
Yeah.
Oh, this is him denying the Al-Ahli attack.
But they're analysing Hamas firing rockets.
They analysed 17 rockets from Islamic Jihad, you fucking liar. Hamas were firing rockets as well that were not analysed by forensic architecture, no?
Yes, they were, actually.
Hello?
Oh, you were saying that out.
Oh, but he's going to explain why Israel's fake videos and fake audio were real. But forensic architecture's detailed scientific analysis is not. Is this going to be over a year later? How long ago is this? This is 2 months ago. Well after it was well established that Israel attacked the Al-Ahli hospital and has attacked every single other fucking hospital in the Gaza Strip.
I think that should be fine. I can just drag you down on my end. Do you want to keep talking?
Hold on, I was just muting myself to see whether my chat can hear you.
Oh, can they? 1, 2, 3.
Is this Chris Kunzler?
6.
Yeah, they said unfortunately they can hear you.
Okay.
So you didn't seem to...
Yes, it is. It's Chris. It's Chris Kunzler. Okay. This should be interesting. We've watched some of his stuff on stream. I think River Rune has recommended some of it previously. And unlike Boner Locks, Chris Kunzler seems to actually know what he's talking about on these things.
happy with my...
Well, let me see. We've got some updates going on. Let's see. Okay, no updates. I thought there might have been an update on like whether Iran had already like countered, but it doesn't appear yet.
No.
Why not? Here's Mr. Lonerbox. Can hear you.
Okay.
So you didn't seem too happy with my videos, Mr. Lonerbox.
No.
Yeah, he wouldn't
Why
be.
not?
Strawmans, just like
What was the
arguments. You said that I was excusing and like that I was brought onto Ethan Klein's show to support Israeli war crimes.
Which I mean, you have in fact done. You absolutely have done that thing.
And on that appearance, I literally described Israel's performance in that war as like habitually committing war crimes. So.
Oh really? Because I've seen a lot of videos of you saying otherwise, you know. There was one...
I mean, my favorite one is the one where he was during the propaganda junket with Sex Pestany to Israel in the company of Elon Levy. They wanted to show how it's not really true that the IDF headquarters is right in the middle of a residential area by a busy shopping center and a hospital. But they didn't understand that you have to cut that video so you can create the impression that there's a distance. And so they ended up accidentally, at the same time as they were like gasping at how far away it really is, they were showing it was literally across the street.
Where you were doing some forensic analysis, giving an explanation why kids weren't actually being shot in the head, how that wasn't a command coming, you know, down up top from the IDF, and how, you know, I think when you responded to my original video, you said when the general's plan was being implemented, you tried to claim that, you know, Netanyahu...
The general's plan was to completely ethnically cleanse North Gaza, destroy all infrastructure for sustaining life in the area, and force everyone down to the south where they will be killed, basically.
The top brass, they just didn't know what was happening, right?
I don't know whether they knew or not that it was happening. My claim was that it hadn't been signed off on by Central Command.
Which is ridiculous. There's no, like, he has no inside knowledge about Central Command. What we know is that they're doing this very openly, and there's no consequences. And when there's no consequences in a hierarchical organization, that kind of indicates that the hierarchy is okay with it. It's like that time when there was that prosecution of the guy who at State Teman rape camp that Israel operates, because they really don't like sexual assault, Israel, so they have a rape camp. Anyway, this guy was doing too much of it, and he was being prosecuted for being excessive about it. And of course, that they showed there is a limit. That you don't. That doesn't mean you get to go fucking buck wild. There are limits to the amount of sexual assault you can do at State Teman rape camp. So there were consequences. There were limits, and then there was the right to rape riots. So yeah, no. So I mean, the idea that he's saying that this one thing, the Central Command could not possibly have supported it, like, fuck off. Like, they've supported much worse things. Like, their orders are to kill everybody. They've said that over and over again.
So why do you think they've now pivoted to saying we're going to expel everyone from Gaza? Do you think that was just a plan they came up with out the blue?
No.
So what do you think?
Wait.
I mean, I have to say, the strategy, if I were doing this, I would be much more careful, a little bit more slowly catchy monkey with the questions. Because because he's just sort of hammering them in and changing the subject. And that is, I mean, that's not a great way to do it. You want to elicit at least some kind of pattern of responses beforehand.
One thing at a time. What did I just say?
What do you mean?
What did I just say?
That you thought that it didn't come from the top brass, right?
Yeah, does that mean that they...
Yeah, based on nothing. There's, like, no reason...
to prove it or don't know about it?
Well, no, I think it's part of a wider systemic plan, which is what you try and obfuscate.
Wait, boner locks obfuscate?
Okay.
And try and act as if it's like,
I
oh,
said-
these things,
hang
these
on.
IDF soldiers, you know, they're just implementing bad things on the ground. There's baddies like Yehud and that.
I mean, I like how he calls him an empanada defender rather than just giving his name. You know, he has a channel. Let me just turn off the audio to fucking to Telegram so that isn't interrupting us.
So, first of all, why do you... Okay. So, I don't... This is also from the same H3 podcast where I said that Netanyahu was a war criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, yes, but then... And now you're saying you don't think that the top brass of the IDF are okay with the systematic practice of snipers using children's heads for target practice.
So how can I call him a war criminal but then also say that he, like, the top brass just doesn't want to implement the general's plan?
I mean, it's entirely possible because you can say somebody, I mean, in fact, using war criminal as a way to avoid talking about genocide, I mean, is something that Sex Pestany has done. And you can say somebody is a war criminal in certain respects. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're agreeing that they do all the war crimes. It's like... it's like when TERFs will talk about they're okay with trans people's civil rights, and you have to actually elicit from them what rights they think are trans people's civil rights, and it turns out actually none.
I can show you what I read in the article.
You've done it over and over again. You do it all the time. There are loads of bad empanada.
No, wait. Okay, yeah, we can talk about bad empanada videos if you want. Okay, one thing at a time.
No. We're not having a long discussion about that. His videos show have long clips where you edited your own stream, didn't you? You took out part of your stream because you weren't willing to avow what you'd actually said.
What did I actually say that I clipped out?
Okay, I'm interested. What did he say?
It was the part about talking about what they were shot in the head with. I don't remember exactly.
No, wait, you brought it up. I can show you the whole. I can give you the whole stream.
Do you want to just sit here and just watch a whole bad empanada video?
Well, no, I just want you to admit that you don't even know what your claim is. Why are you?
Well, I mean, the easiest way to show what he's talking about would be to show the bit that Bad Empanada says was cut out. I don't know what he's talking about. I haven't seen this. But I mean, if you want to clear this up, if the idea is clearing this up, then just watch the fucking video. Go to the timestamp where this happens, and then talk about it. That's kind of obvious.
What the fuck?
Well, I mean, wow. I mean, you go on one propaganda junk into Israel with Sex Pestany in the company of Elon Levy, the spokesman of the genocidal PM, and suddenly people are hostile.
I'm not being hostile. I just
yes, you are.
Your general behavior.
So what did I say about what did I clip out of that stream?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested, and I think it would have been better if we could just look at the footage that BE has found, and he can either say that that's not what that is, or he can admit it, or whatever, and that would be a point from which to have a discussion. But like, you know, he's already said he does not actually have a clear recollection of exactly what it was, and the easiest thing would be to just look at what he says. So why not just do that? But it's easier if you're like one of these like debate chuds to hit somebody in the imperfect recollection than to resubstitute it with direct evidence.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I didn't keep like a long dossier of all of the things that you've said and done. But you wanted to confirm.
I mean, I have to say, if you're going to do this, I don't know that it's necessarily a great approach. I mean, I think it can be sometimes, but preparation is important. Be prepared with something. First of all, be prepared with something he's not expecting to respond to, and be prepared to do it in a way where it will be embarrassing if he does not. That's the way you would do it. I have to say, I like Chris Kunstler, but I don't feel like he was very well prepared here.
idea. This debate's your idea. You're not
I
prepared?
was confronting you more about your general opinions. Of course
Well, you're
I'm
not prepared, though, are you?
I messaged you within 3 hours. You knew I wasn't going to be prepared. Come on, stop with the whole debate lord shtick. You know, let's have a conversation about, what you actually believe about Palestine. And first of all, actually, the videos. You called me a terrorist supporter in a couple of minutes ago, didn't you? Because you said I didn't believe Chen Kugel.
Yeah, you're
Chen Kugel. And Chen Kugel, it's worth noting, he is the director, the head forensic pathologist of I forget what it's called, but the Forensic Institute in Israel. And he has been caught lying. Chen Kugel has contradicted Chen Kugel. He claimed that there was evidence of beheadings, and then he later had to walk that back. It was a lie. There were none. And then he absurdly claimed that he, a senior forensic pathologist, is incapable of telling the difference between an appendage that has been cut off and one that has been severed by an explosion. I think that's probably not true. That would be, if that's true, he's admitting he sucks at his job.
That was kind of ridiculous. Also, just to stop you from backing away from it, the bit that I clipped out of that stream was a bit that was flagged because it was videos of people doing fucking shooting videos with fake blood, and I took that out because it might get a TOS flag.
Okay,
but obviously,
I'm sure that was.
But Baran Banada said that I argued that those images in the New York Times article of kids with bullets in their heads was fake. I never said they were fake.
Okay, and the question is, did he not? It would be good if he didn't. It would be a decent thing if he did not join the pro-Israel propaganda torrent of claims that those x-rays were fake. But I don't know. I don't watch him from one day to the next, and I don't trust him because he's full of shit on a lot of things on this issue.
I said the opposite. I said the opposite, actually. Didn't I actually push back at someone who said that they were fake?
Shoot them in the head. They were different kinds. They're not all snipers doing it.
Well, that's true that they're not all snipers. No, don't anyway me. I said that I never said that they were fake. Baran Banada lied about it. Do you agree with that or no?
No, I don't, because you tried to obfuscate what was happening.
You said the claim was that I said that they were fake images. I didn't say they were fake.
Oh, goodness me. So this is all you're going to do? Just sit there and go, well, you said exactly this and I said exactly that.
I have to say that is not an unreasonable way to do this, because it helps, to establish what the actual issue is. If we establish what one person exactly said and what the other person exactly said, but okay.
It's just interesting that if you can't concede on one piece of information, then what's the point,
You want to watch
right?
a whole video on Bad Empanada then?
I can find you the clip where I say that the images are real, and then I'm like, why would you say I was... Why?
Well, but that's not the clip that's at issue here. The clip at issue is the one that you apparently took out. And he said where you can find that. He has that video. He can clearly link you to it. And if that's what it does, and if it doesn't show that, then you can, it's your fucking stream, you can fucking say that.
Saying they were fake. It's quite a simple discrepancy, isn't it? Just to be clear, you brought up the claim that I was trying to clip stuff out of the stream to hide stuff.
Yeah,
you brought that up. We're talking about that because you made that claim. I've explained to you that I pulled out a clip because it was TOS. Not that I tried to hide anything.
Really?
So, if you're just willing to concede that you had no fucking idea what you're referring to when you said that, we can say that you moved
I'm not
on.
going to concede because I think it's very
Okay, so you can just obviously lie. You can obviously lie and then just refuse to concede.
He's not. We haven't seen any reason to believe it's a lie. We have to take his view on faith. We could actually, if he has actually cited the source of the thing that he's talking about, and Bonerlux does not want to show it, so we can't actually see who's right on this. And now he's just kind of jumping from not wanting to look at the evidence that would clear this up straight away to calling Chris a liar.
That's fine as well, yeah.
Hold on, so all you're just going to do
So you don't know which bit I clipped out, but you brought it up. You brought up the clipping.
Okay. So
Okay, and I just noticed the time. It is time to wrap this up. Thank you for everyone who joined in. It's always good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I will be back in at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Friday next. Well, this coming one, that is. And I mean, apparently now is the time for peace, so I guess you can like take that and put that in your pipe and smoke it, because obviously this looks like a very peaceful time to be living in. Hope that despite all of that, you can all get a good night's sleep or something approaching it.